Hi, ladies and gents. Probably more so gents than ladies, but anyways. So, here's the beauty. This is a, let's see if I can get a good angle. Not sure if you can see the Y there, but yeah. It's a Yukon aluminum case. It's heavy and I've got the dial caliper set up. So I don't want to roll it over, not dial caliper, but the dial magnet gauge thing. What the hell's this thing called? Precision inspection set. Yeah, that's not it. Anyways, dial indicator, whatever. So anyways, I've got that set up, so I'm not gonna rotate it over and show you it, but it's got through bolts that mount through the case. These nice big aluminum caps. These caps have guide pins in them as well. This appears to be a really nice case for the money compared to the high dollar billet like Strange cases and stuff like that that are $800 to $1,000. So it is, I got it off of eBay from, I'm blanking on the company. I'll have to post that in the description because I can't remember who it is and I don't have their card out here with me. And I don't think they've ever sent me a sticker. I actually got their, yeah, I don't see a sticker on my toolbox, but I actually ordered the rebuild for that from them as well. But I got the case from them. It comes with everything except the pinion bearings. So I had to order those and wait on those to get them. But anyways, so I got a new yoke. Comes with its Daytona billet aluminum support. Aluminum case, 3 bolts. Nice billet caps. They come pre-marked. And then I also got a polished, REM polished 350 gear and ring and pinion set. So from what I understand, these polished kits are a lot easier to work with. They, one, remove stress, marks, heat, whatnot, any little ridges that would cause heat and stress, friction, etc. But on top of that, they make it where you don't have to go through the long break-in process. Apparently you can just drop these in and pretty much run. I'll probably still roll easy on it and do somewhat of the break-in procedure just to be sure, and I'll probably drain the gear oil and refill it after 400 or 500 miles. But anyway, so I've got it all bolted up, set. I used the stove to heat this ring gear up so it slipped over this truetrac because I didn't have long enough bolts to pull it on. By heating it, I ordered some all thread from Granger for all about $10 for a 1-foot piece, and then cut it into 4-foot pieces, so 2.5-inch sections. And I threaded those I heated this up, then I threaded those in and used it as a guide to make sure it sat down positioned where the bolts need to go. And I've got it in here and I've got my right amount of play. I don't remember what the term for that is, but I've got that set. I'm about to apply some marking compound that I got off of Amazon and see how it looks, see if I need to change my pinion shims, because it does come with a bunch of shims as well, along with the O-ring under there. Pretty much the only thing you have to buy whenever you get this case from these guys is obviously the diff, which they sell diffs. But you get your ring and pinion set, your gear set. They sell that too. They sell pretty much everything you need, but the case came with installation stuff, I believe. Maybe not, I might have ordered that in a separate kit. I think that installation stuff might have been another little $10 or $20 set. But I've got it all set up, ready to mark it, check it, see if I need to change the shims out. And we're gonna see how this goes. Hopefully I'll have this set up tonight. And then tomorrow I can start working on this. Pull this third member so I can start cutting this. Because if y'all remember, this cap hits my sway bar. All the time and effort to drill and weld this on, thinking it would make it easy to fill this thing, it's not. At least not in this. Might work in a truck, but I'll have to cut this off and weld on a plate, slap it on there, and cover it up. The other thing, if y'all recall me messing with these, I think I went over in the last video, getting to these bolts is a pain when you don't have an access hole in the axle, which I don't. You have to pop these little clips off to bring a wrench from behind so you can turn these nuts. So, talked to a couple drive shops that said that I can drill this flange, even though it's got these holes here, and it shouldn't hurt anything. The only way I see to do that other than mill is with a hole saw. So we're gonna see how that works, and I'm gonna try to drill this right here. These axles aren't super expensive, so if I screw them up, I guess I'll order a set of $500 axles that have the hole, unless someone knows a better place to get cheap axles that are custom sized, because these are cut to fit. I don't remember if I did a video on it or not. I'm pretty sure I talked about it at some point, but these come in two different lengths. They come in a long and a short. I want to say I had to do both the long ones. I'm not positive. But anyways, you use the tool, measure it, cut it off with a chop saw, bevel the edges with a grinder or belt sander or whatever, and then you're good to go, because they come with the seat, with the bearing, seal, the keeper, all that already pre-pressed on, ready to go. And the nice thing about this is, one, it does have 3 different bolt holes, or bolt patterns. 2, the axle is actually a 35 spline shaft up until this point, and then it tapers. So it seems like it's a little bit beefier than normal axle is, at least, you know, weighs. So I think these end up costing me about $150 to $180 a piece. So is just over $300, $350 or so for the set. The cheapest I found axles for 5 by 4.5 with the hole in the axle flange to be able to get to these nuts is like $250 an axle for a cut or pre-sized. Because you have to, obviously I can't go to stock axles because I shortened my rear end. Anyways, that's it for now. I'll come back whenever I have this done, this in the works, and maybe back in, I don't know. I'll have to rebleed my brakes, obviously, since I had to disconnect them. The one thing I'm kind of concerned with is whether or not having this shield on the new one is a problem. This little dust shield. Because, as you can see, I don't have one on this one. They sell them with those, but for whatever reason, my genius self was thinking, I don't need that. So I don't know. We'll see if that ends up being a problem or not. I thought about actually ordering the fancy billet aluminum yoke as well. Drop a little bit more weight, but didn't. Might do that later on. Had I realized that this yoke was the exact same size as the one I have in my drive, or in my current case, I probably would have just swapped it over. But I've already bolted it on and sealed it, so it's too late. I'm not going to bother with trying to take it back off, sending it back if I even can, etc. Another fun thing I found about the shop that did my alignment after I've taken it back to them a couple times, or I guess I can show you on the axle. When I went to pull this, I found another thing they screwed up. They had one trailing arm bolted to the upper hole and the other side bolted to the lower hole. Now, I'm not sure what damage that would actually cause. I would think it would make the travel of the suspension different. So if I'm thinking right, when I'd hit bumps and whatnot, the axle would possibly shift or like turn kind of this way as it went up. Might be wrong. I don't know. If somebody knows suspension geometry could tell me what the difference between these 2 bolt holes are. I know one is listed in the instructions as being street, one is listed as track. I don't remember which one's which. I had it set to street, but since they mixed the 2 up, I'll have to go back and look in the instructions and see which one's which. But yeah, that was another thing that pissed me off when I saw that. They also, I'm sure, scuffed the shit out of them, because I know whenever they were trying to put this in, they didn't take the weight off the car. They were using a pry bar to try to wedge that trailing arm into this slot, with all the weight on the car being held on the coilovers that mounted through these lower holes. So the coilovers were literally the only thing keeping the axle from going in and out. So hopefully they didn't damage my damn coilovers either. Guess I'll find out later on when they start leaking. But as I mentioned before, another thing I need to look into is this side axle was leaking. I don't know. I would think my flange is not warped, because like I said before, I use these big aluminum block guides with that rod when I welded it all. I did sink a lot of heat into them when I welded them to make sure they penetrated well, but with those aluminum pieces that are machined slipped in place of the axle flange, and they weren't stuck when I pulled it out. It just came out easy. I don't think they warped because that aluminum would kind of heat sink the heat anyways. But I'm thinking my seal is damaged on this axle just out of the box. Maybe I nicked it or something whenever I put it in. I don't know if it's leaking from around the axle shaft itself or around the outer piece, like where it mates with the flange. If anyone knows of a way to seal that to prevent it from leaking without me having to replace that seal on the axle and press shit on and off, drop a comment, please. I've Googled around, checked forums, and I've seen some people mention something about getting a paper gasket that mates on here. I would have to do 2, I guess, one on each side of this brake mount flange. And then I don't think it would work anyways because I have this, my keeper is a split style. It's not solid, so I don't think it would press the gasket properly. But yeah, I've heard of doing that paper gasket and then like siliconing or something around the bearing, the outside just a little bit. I don't know. Might not be worth it. I might end up just leaving it, especially if I can make an access hole where I can get the axle in and out. I can fix it later. Another thing I might be looking into tonight is changing out the tail shaft on the transmission. That tail shaft seal, it's leaking where the drive shaft goes in, as well as from the actual tail casing, that where the case goes from solid and starts to taper down. It bolts around that, and that needs to be resealed as well, I think, because I have a slow leak there as well. But alright guys, rambled on enough. I'm gonna get back to work on this, and like I said, tomorrow I'll mess with this, and I'll have you another video in a couple days maybe. Alright, thanks for watching guys. Later.